our trust.
Good morning and welcome back. How y'all doing this Wednesday? It's your boy, the oggm, broadcasting live from Site B, located in the mythical town of Fresno, Nevada, which does not in fact exist. How you doing? It's Wednesday. It's bright and shiny and springy and freezing today. So keep your plants warm, keep the coffee percolating, and keep yourselves safe. Now, you guys seem to be enjoying these adventure talks I've been having with you. Normally we do these talks while I'm out walking, which we still might do one today, depending upon how cold it is. So decided to continue doing that and see if that's something you still enjoy listening to me talk about. Now, guys, I'm never going to tell you I'm the best or I have the most experience or I've been doing this longer than anybody else or any other crap you might hear from some other tubers. I'm not the best. I'm not the most experienced. I'm an idiot. I'm still learning about this hobby. So I make mistakes and I say things and then I come find out that it was wrong and I try and fix it. So we're talking about the 5-room adventure theory. We've talked about this before and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. It's a cornerstone of adventure design. Some people have disproven it, but it's just basically just a general storytelling. Breaking down to every adventure, every story, every whatever can be broken down into these 5 scenes, and in the case of our hobby, it's, every adventure can be broken down to 5 things. And then you just constantly repeat those 5 things in whatever order. But, the basic framework is 5 things. Although technically, really, it's 6 things. But yes, it's the 5-room adventure theory. I don't remember who created it. The first time I heard anybody talk about it, I think it was Ben Milton on Questing Beasts, but I can't be sure. I don't think it matters. It's a basic storytelling 101. And that is that every adventure, every dungeon story has 6 rooms, 5 rooms, 6 rooms, depending upon how you want to look at it or not. Here's a map that Dyson did, Mr. Dyson, of a 5-room dungeon, which has more than 5 rooms. So already we can see this wrong. So what are the 5 rooms? And again, these rooms are not necessarily in any order. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just sort of a theory, an idea for building adventure design, which is something you guys seem to enjoy listening to me pontificate about. So yeah. Okay, so the first room, room 0, is why are you going? What is the story of why you're leaving home, village, Tatooine, whatever? Yes, I'm going to keep using Star Wars because why not? And going to the adventure. So that's really the first room, or the 0 room, is your reason for going and your reason for coming back. Should you succeed? Are they, what's your motivation? Is it a reward? Is it a threat? Is it a sense of duty? Why are you going into this hole in the ground to fight monsters? So that's room 0. Okay. And the trip between home and location could also be considered the first room of the 5-room dungeon or room 0 of the 5-room dungeon. But then we get to the idea of the 5-room story. And room 1 is usually a combat of some type. It could be a minor combat. It could only, be a few minutes. It could be just something as simple as bats and you fly in your face, or it could be a more intensive combat. But basically, that's both to sort of get the blood percolating. It's like getting the cup of gaming coffee, to get the dice warmed up, to get you a little idea, a little hint. What am I going to run into? Because the first encounter I have sort of going to set the stage of the adventure, right? Okay, if I run into goblins in the first fight, then I'm probably going to be running into goblin and goblin adjacent monsters going further, right? That kind of thing. So it sort of gives you a hint of what's the story going forward, gives you a chance to warm the blood, get the dice rolling, get everybody on the same page, and generally give you an idea of the first room. Then, of course, the second room, the second part of the story is you want to now cool them down. Now we've had the first fight, we've got the blood pumping. Now we want to give a chance for the other people to sort of tell their story and get a feeling of the adventure, and maybe those of you who didn't encourage the fight. So the second room is some type of skill challenge. Could be a trap, could be a puzzle, could be figuring out clues, but usually you want something after the physical conflict. The next conflict should be a role-playing conflict or a skill type conflict. And again, the other aspect is to tell you more of the dungeon story. Let's give you some hints, give you some more clues, give you some rewards, give you reasons to keep going, right? So that's usually the second room. And the third room, the 3, 4, and 5 is kind of where it gets because nobody's quite sure. 1 and 2, everybody's pretty sure. You listen to all the different videos, the other people have done videos about that, they'll pretty much all agree 1 is a fight of some kind. And then 2 is a skill test of some kind. And 3 is usually also either a different type of skill test or a continuation of the first test or a role-playing test. Again, it's a chance to further explore the story, further let the players interact with the environment and give them a chance to pull the lever, push the buttons, talk to the guard, search for secret doors. Generally, just, you want some type of level of drama, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a fight. But it should involve some type of dice rolling, should involve some type of role playing, should involve some type of give and take, But now we're in the heart of the dungeon. We've only got 2 more rooms to go, so we probably want another fight. Now, this is depending upon which version of the theory. This could be the main boss fight, or could be the fight before the main boss fight. But this is usually another combat of some type. It should be a little bit tougher than the first combat, a little bit more where they have to waste some supplies and stuff like that. Burn through their resources, maybe think about leaving and coming back. Maybe they picked off more than they can chew, but this is definitely, we're in room 4. We're almost done. We really want to hit them hard. So that could be a big fight. So if the first fight was goblins, then the big fight would be maybe more goblins, or goblins with better armor, or maybe goblins with a spellcaster, or maybe a couple orcs. You really want to get that blood flowing, get them that hype up. It's the last hill of the roller coaster. And then room 5, again, depending upon which version of the theory, is either the final fight or the reward from room 4, which was the final fight. So room 4 could be the final fight, and room 5 could be the rewards, the end of the quest. One version. The other version is room 5 is another fight, the boss fight, and your reward comes at the end of that fight. So the reward would really be either way. Yeah, either it's a 6th room or it's the 5th room, and you combine the 2. Again, it's not really a linear set in stone theory. It is obviously very nebulous in these are just ideas, the ideas of this 5-part story: beginning, middle, twist, and denouement. For those of you who know what denouement means, and for those of you who don't, it means like what after the resolution after the end, the revealing of the mask. But anyway, so now we've done our 5 rooms, right? Yeah. Combat, some type of skill test, some type of other test, or maybe another combat. Then second to last combat or last combat. And then room 5 is either your last combat or your reward from the combat from room 4. But by the 5, you should have gone through the entire beginning, middle, and end of this dungeon. And then we return home, changed, different rewards to receive our reward for the reason we went in the first place. So really, it's more than 5 rooms. So the 5-room dungeon is sort of a misnomer, but it sounds cool. And like I said, it can be used for any genre, and you can just repeat that if you're building a bigger dungeon than this little drawing here. You just design another 5 steps: beginning, middle, twist, and denouement, or reward. And we could just keep going that. And then, of course, you can move them around. It doesn't have to be that linear. It could be baby fight, big fight, role-playing challenge, reward, something's guarding the reward. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but it is a cornerstone idea of adventure design, that 5x5 idea. And that translates to any type of adventure and really kind of any type of storytelling. It is just classic Greek tragedy 101, beginning, middle, twist, and aftermath, denouement, because it's a cool sounding French word. It makes me sound smart. Hey, yeah, that's right. You got a degree in theater, don't you? Well, theater communication. I don't even know what my degree is. And teaching, anthropology. I have so many degrees, like some people trading cards. So there you go. That's some little adventure design. So how would I design a 5-room dungeon? Well, a 6-room dungeon. Well, a 7-room dungeon. How would I design this story? And again, it would be, first off, the MacGuffin of why I'm going there. Why am I sending the players there? Why am I, as an adventurer, leaving where I am to go over there? So there's got to be something in it for me. And that could be, an offer of reward is usually the big one. The NPCs need you to do something. If you return successfully, they give you something, right? That's pretty much, and some variation of that. There's got to be a reason to leave. There's got to be something in it for you to leave. You've got to have some type of either financial or emotional investment to make them leave town or wherever and go to the dungeon. Then there's the journey between town and the dungeon, and that can be as a whole separate adventure, or it could just be, fast time. Okay, you travel to the dungeon entrance, nothing really interesting happens, you see whatever, but now you're at the entrance. Then the entrance should be, pretty much everybody agrees, some type of combat to get the dice rolling, to get the blood pumping. It's like that first cup of coffee, and to sort of give you a hint of what's going on. So we're going to using the continuing idea of the haunted mind or the Death Star, whichever one you prefer. My reason to leave the home and go to the Death Star is this creepy old man has said I have to, and this beautiful woman says she needs me to rescue her, right? So that's the reason why our adventurers left home, was the idea of a financial reward or a romantic reward or just doing something right. And then, of course, Ben lying to Luke. We arrive, we go through the distance from home to the dungeon entrance, and stuff happens. There's a whole little story before we get to the Death Star. They're in the first room. We got to have some type of fight. So that's the spaceship fight outside. Or if we're doing our haunted gold mine, we would have some goblins or some other small creature, rats, giant ants, because we don't see enough giant ants in the dungeon. But now I've got your blood pumping. You've got a general idea of the story. So now I want to slow things down. So now I want you to deal with some type of role playing or challenge. And we're going to do that either once or twice. So either room 2 and 3 or room 2 will be some type of challenge that's not combat. Still dramatic, still conflict, but again, it's 3PO trying to figure out the codes. It's R2 trying to pick the lock. It's them having the fight in the hallway. It's the room with the slime. It's something to calm down the excitement, but also tell more of the story. And then let's just wash, rinse, repeat. We have another room 3, where there's usually another challenge, or it could be another fight. Room 4, which is usually either the final fight or the second to last fight, or a bigger challenge. But again, it's the hills of the roller coaster. We've gone up, now we're going to go down, and now we're just going to level out. Then we're going to go up a little, then we're going to come down a little, then we're going to go up really, 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 and then we have the final fight, and then the reward, and then going home, which again could be a whole nother adventure, and then the denouement, the aftermath of arriving back home, and how you arriving back home moves the story forward. So there you go. That's my take on the 5-room dungeon theory. Am I right? I don't know. I'm never going to say, oh, I'm right. You have to listen to me. I'm the expert. You're mediocre. You don't know what you're talking about. I've been doing this forever. No, I'm never going to say that to you guys. I'm sorry. But you seem to enjoy these little talks, at least when we do the walk and talk when we're out in the streets and taking a walk. That sounded wrong. So hopefully you do this. Normally I'd talk about that company, but they haven't done anything to talk about. But it's still early, and Q4 numbers did just drop. So yeah. Till next time, I'm the oggm. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you never want to hear me do this ever again, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please take a moment to like, share, subscribe. Use the links down below to check out my merch, which is on sale as always for $1 on drive-through. Give you a chance to be familiar because I've got a new product coming out sometime in March. Hopefully, if everything goes that way. And until next time, be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Get off my land.